So let's learn about our hormones. So where do your hormones come from? Well, the drug companies and the doctors would love you to believe that the sole source of hormones in your body is the ovaries. And that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because in every single woman, our ovaries are going to take a much needed rest at menopause, somewhere around the average age of 52. And you're supposed to live another 50 years after that. So hormones are powerful messengers, and this is an amazing body, and it's not going to let you live for the next 50 years without hormones. So all of your male and female hormones are derived from cholesterol. And although cholesterol gets a really bad rap, you have to have adequate amounts of cholesterol to make progesterone and estrogen and DHEA and testosterone and cortisol. And so cholesterol-lowering drugs are not a good thing for women. And if you're on the line and you are already taking cholesterol-lowering medication, please go read my free book, Your 30-Day Heart Smart Solution, which is on our website under the book button, and get off those statin drugs as soon as you can. What makes the difference between the woman who hits menopause and she feels great? She can't figure out why her friends are fanning and flashing and crying and forgetting their keys because she feels wonderful. While the woman who feels wonderful at menopause has great functioning adrenal glands, and your adrenal glands are two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they are your backup hormone system. Now, they produce cortisol, which is your stress hormone, in response to all the stresses that we're under. But those adrenals are going to make your hormones for you after your ovaries shut down at menopause. So if you're a younger woman who signed up tonight, you better love your adrenals, meaning de-stress your life. If you're already in menopause, then we treat your adrenals. And we're going to talk about the adrenals quite a bit tonight. The thyroid sits wrapped around your windpipe, and your thyroid is the master conductor of all of your hormones. It basically is like the orchestra conductor. We have an epidemic of low thyroid in Canada today. We have 26% of the population already on thyroid medication. We have another 30% of people, mainly women, walking around with low thyroid that have yet to be diagnosed. So I'm going to talk a lot about thyroid because we have this epidemic of low thyroid because we're not being diagnosed and treated properly. And I think it is at the root of many, many health issues. Your liver is the sentinel organ for hormone function. Your liver decides if your healthy estrogen is going to turn into cancer-causing estrogen. Your liver decides if your other hormones are going to turn into other hormones. Your liver is involved in the conversion of hormones, is also involved in the detoxification of hormones. And so if you're drinking too much wine and popping too many Advil, then your liver will not be doing the job it is supposed to be doing to keep your hormones balanced. Your gut is everything from your mouth to your butt. And if you have gas, burping, bloating, constipation, or diarrhea, then you will have hormone problems. And your digestive tract is not only involved in converting hormones, but also detoxifying them. And the reason why we tell every single woman to take a probiotic is to keep her hormones balanced in the digestive tract. So we have Probiotic Plus, which is our probiotic that we have had for many, many years. And we have a new product called Regular Girl, which is a prebiotic fiber along with a probiotic. And the prebiotic feeds the probiotic. So it really makes the whole digestive tract very, very happy. And it's called Regular Girl for a reason. Fat cells are the most dangerous hormone factories. We were talking about this a little bit before I got started tonight. Your fat cells are making tons and tons of estrogen. And when we were teenagers and our estrogen started to surge, this is when we got our great breasts and all of our nice shape. But too much estrogen, we turn into an apple shape. So we don't want to have too much estrogen. And we're going to talk a lot about being estrogen overloaded in a minute. The ovaries have been relegated to the bottom of the list because in every single woman, when we go through menopause, our ovaries are going to shut down and take a much needed rest. And we also have the highest rates of hysterectomy in the world here in Canada. And so those women may have had their ovaries removed at the same time that they had their uterus removed. But the ovaries are really important if you're trying to have a baby. And more importantly, the uterus and the ovaries also have little receptors on them for thyroid hormone. And when we start to have low thyroid, we start to have hormone issues as well. You've got to have healthy ovaries if you want to have a baby. And so we want to make sure for those young women who are trying to have children that all of their hormones are in balance as well. But now you know, even if you've had a hysterectomy or you're postmenopausal, that you are still making hormones in these other places in the body. We just have to get them being made at the right amounts at the right times so that we feel good. What about a normal period? And, you know, this is what we should have learned when we were young. And what is a normal period? Well, a regular period shows up every 21 days, maybe every 25 days, maybe every 28 days, and it does that the same every month. We count the days of a menstrual cycle. So day 1 is the first day of bleeding, and in the first half of the cycle, estrogen rises. And estrogen's job is to make your uterine lining nice and thick and juicy, so if an egg gets in there during ovulation, it has somewhere to live for the next 9 months. Most women ovulate, that means popping out an egg, between day 10 and day 15. Very important date to note if you want to have a baby. Even more important date to note if you don't want to have a baby. In the second half of the cycle, progesterone rises. If you actually got pregnant, progesterone would rise 100-fold, and that's to keep you pregnant. If you didn't get pregnant, progesterone will fall. That will signal the uterine lining to slough off, and you'll have another period, and it starts all over again. What about the women who have terrible, heavy, flooding periods? For those women, what's going on is in the first half of the cycle, estrogen rises and the uterine lining gets thicker, and estrogen rises and the lining gets thicker and thicker. And estrogen is so high that progesterone can't really kick in. And then when you finally do have a period, it's like the floodgates open and you have this flooding periods with big clots, all caused by too much estrogen. A lot of women who have too much estrogen also get ovarian cysts as well, and uterine fibroids or uterine polyps. What about those women we talked about before the talk started who get the headaches or the migraines right before their period? What is happening to them is their progesterone is falling too far too fast, and this is what can cause the headaches and the migraines. So in those cases, we give women Estrosmart Plus to bring their progesterone levels up naturally. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But your period should show up. You should not know it's coming. You should not turn into a crazy person. You shouldn't pack on 10 pounds of additional fluid. You should feel great, and they should last 2 to 3 days, go away, and come back the same amount of time again next month. And if they're not, then period problems are your body's first and earliest warning sign that your hormones are out of balance. And what do our doctors do when you have period problems? They put everybody on the birth control pill. We actually now use the birth control pill for pretty much everything except for contraception. And I'm here to tell you that if you had period problems before you went on the pill, your problems will be the same or worse when you come off. And so do not use the birth control pill as a Band-Aid to treat your period problems. I'm going to tell you how we can do it naturally. Then we also have estrogens in the environment. We've got man-made estrogens found in cosmetics. You can go to a great website called ewg.org and look up all of your shampoos, conditioners, cosmetics, deodorant, mouthwash, toothpaste, and see how hormone disrupting they are. So go to ewg.org. It's not a .com, it's a .org, and go look them up. Dairy products, commercially produced dairy products and meat are also high in estrogen. When we're under lots of stress, our estrogen levels go up. And they finally did a study in women and had them drink 1 8-ounce glass of soy milk and discovered their estradiol, which is a very powerful estrogen, skyrocketed by about 320%. Not a good thing. So I don't recommend that we consume soy products because of their highly estrogenic action. So one of the things we've noticed about North American women is that they are estrogen overloaded. And how do you know if you're estrogen overloaded? Well, you know if you're estrogen overloaded if you have belly fat. We also know that you're estrogen overloaded if you have uterine fibroids or ovarian cysts or heavy periods or breast lumps. These are all things telling us we have too much estrogen in relationship to our other hormones. One of the things that happens when your estrogen is high is that your thyroid goes low. And how did we learn that? Well, when they were studying women who were taking synthetic estrogen called Premarin orally, they discovered that within about a year of taking Premarin, their thyroid would go low and they'd end up on thyroid medication. Estrogen, progesterone have to be in balance. So when estrogen's really high, progesterone drops. And so this is why it's important not to have too much estrogen available. Estrogen also makes cells grow out of control. Think about those big uterine fibroids, ovarian cysts, breast lumps. These are caused by estrogen fueling the growth of these things. And I had uterine fibroids, so I'm very aware of what happens when you have too much estrogen. And all the stress we're under also makes us secrete too much estrogen. So too much estrogen also gives you cellulite, endometriosis, migraine headaches, weight gain, that really stubborn weight that we can't get off. And so we've got to get that estrogen back into the normal range. And why do I care so much about this? Well, I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids, which caused terrible, heavy flooding periods. I was literally chained to the house with them. And I went to a gynecologist whose only recommendation was to have a hysterectomy, which I didn't want to do. And so I went on a mission to learn, how do we bring our estrogen levels back into the normal range, which will then naturally let our progesterone come up? And how do we shrink all these things like fibroids and breast lumps and ovarian cysts? And so through the research to treat my own fibroids, I developed a product called Estrosmart. And Estrosmart contains plant ingredients, plant extracts that have excellent clinical research for things like reversing abnormal pap smears, shrinking fibroids, halting the conversion of your healthy estrogen into the cancer-causing estrogen. Anyways, I started taking 4 capsules of Estrosmart a day. Within 2 months, I knew it was working because my periods had normalized. I went to the gynecologist a year later and had my fibroids checked, and they had shrunk by 13%. I kept going back to the same gynecologist, and by year 4, my fibroids had shrunk by 39%, which is a really dramatic reduction considering that I hadn't gone through menopause. So Estrosmart is really a girl's best friend. It gets our periods normalized. If you have fibroids like I did, it will help shrink your fibroids. If you get ovarian cysts, Estrosmart will shrink them and stop them from coming back every month, which is also important. And it also stops abnormal cell growth. We have to start thinking about these breast lumps and these endometrial cells that are abnormal and fibroids, these things as abnormal cell growth. They may never turn into cancer, but if you end up with a 3-pound uterine fibroid in your uterus, they can become very problematic. And you know, back in 1960, 1 in 20 women developed breast cancer. Today, it's 1 in 8. So although we're raising billions of dollars for breast cancer research, we are doing nothing to lower our rates of breast cancer. All of the ingredients in Estrosmart have some clinical research for bringing that estrogen, the bad estrogen, back into the normal range, the estrogen that is linked to causing breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and ovarian cancer. So although you might be taking Estrosmart to deal with your heavy periods, I know it's also going to help reduce your risk of these really bad cancers. And as well, you know, things like endometriosis go into remission. Cervical dysplasia or abnormal pap smears also, the cells of the cervix also go back to normal as well, and it eliminates hormonal acne. So if you have that teenager at home who's just really suffering with hormonal acne, they will use Estrosmart as well. And so let's look at the dosages of Estrosmart. And I put this chart together so that people can look at the different dosages. If you have heavy periods, this is my little heavy period program that works like a charm. You take 4 Estrosmart a day. We have a product called Bone Booster, which works really well for people who have the clots. So if you're passing these big clots that look like slabs of liver, then you want to go on Bone Booster. And we have a new product called Shepherd's Purse Tincture, which squelches down on that uterine lining and stops all this bleeding. And those three things taken together work exceptionally well. Acne, if you've got acne, 4 to 6 capsules a day. My daughters used to find when they were ovulating, they'd have to take more Estrosmart, but you'll find for yourself what'll work. PCOS, this is a terrible condition. We're seeing a lot of teenagers with it, a lot of young women. It's called polycystic ovarian syndrome, even though half the women who get it don't have any cysts in their ovaries. So that's kind of silly. But it's a pre-diabetic condition that is associated with elevated male hormones. So the women get male facial hair growth, acne, greasy hair, irregular periods, or infertility, and they tend to gain weight around the middle as well. So Estrosmart works for that, along with our product called Glucosmart, which has 9 clinical studies for putting PCOS into remission. We also have Estrosmart Plus, which is our fertility product. It's to get you ovulating properly. And if you have that really severe PMS where you don't even like yourself, then you will use the Estrosmart Plus. But for the rest of us, it's pretty much Estrosmart will solve all of those estrogen dominant conditions. And of course, you want to eliminate soy from your diet and get organic as much as you possibly can so that you can clean up all the environmental estrogens that we're exposed to. A lot of doctors, yes, they definitely put people on the Mirena IUD. The Mirena IUD is synthetic progestins, so it is not a natural IUD. And a lot of women get terrible raging headaches from it. I don't recommend progestins. I think you would do much better on Estrosmart, Shepherd's Purse Tincture. And if you also get the clotting, the big clots, then you would add Bone Booster into that. Thyroid. So I talked earlier, I said I think a lot of our health issues are associated with this low thyroid. And for people who are on the line from Windsor, that's the goiter belt. So Southern Ontario, we call it the goiter belt. We have higher rates of low thyroid. A lot of people end up with an enlarged thyroid. If you've got fluoridated water in your community, don't drink it. You need to get yourself a water filter. Why? Because fluoride blocks the uptake of thyroid hormone. And I was telling someone the other day, those fluoride treatments, after you're a kid, you don't need them anymore. It's just a way for your dentist to make money. So what does your thyroid do? It tells every system in the body what to do. Your thyroid is involved in whether you're going to be happy, sad, or depressed. People with low thyroid feel like they're pushing themselves through the day. Your thyroid determines your heart rate. Your thyroid is also involved in whether you're going to get pregnant and stay pregnant. Your thyroid is involved in how quickly food moves through your digestive tract. So if you have low thyroid, it goes slowly through the digestive tract and you gain weight and you feel all bloated and constipated. Your thyroid is also involved in cholesterol manufacture. Basically, your thyroid tells everything what to do. And if it is not working well, you feel awful. So here are some of the symptoms. You've lost a third of your eyebrows and you know you didn't pluck them out. You're losing hair right, on the crown of your head. Your hair is thinning. It breaks off easier. You're constipated. You feel like you're pushing yourself through the day. You're freezing cold when everyone else is warm. You also can have irregular heartbeat, weight gain, and stubborn weight loss. You cannot budge that weight. You can starve and run on the treadmill and never lose a pound. Women who have low thyroid get infertility and recurring miscarriages. And women who have low thyroid have the never-ending menopause. These are the women still having hot flashes and night sweats 3, 4, 5 years later. Menopause should only last about 18 months. So if you're still having hot flashes 5 years later, it could very well be your thyroid. So part of the problem is the blood test. When you go to have your thyroid checked, you want to get a copy of your test results and you want to look at the number. So Your TSH, the normal range at the doctor's office is 0.5 to 5.5. In order to be diagnosed with low thyroid, you would have to have a higher number. So the higher the number, the lower your thyroid. That always confuses people. So if your TSH is a 5.5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 10, your doctor will give you thyroid medicine. But we know from all the research that's been done, if you have a TSH above 2, you will start to have symptoms. By the time you get to 5.5, where your doctor says you have low thyroid, you've packed on 30 pounds, your hair is falling out, you're aging, you're huffing and puffing, you just feel like you can't make it through the day. So you want to know your TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone number, and you want it to be below 2. So I'm going to say that again. You want TSH to be below 2. If it is above 2, then we want to help you. I mean, I would beg my doctor for thyroid medicine and go on a teeny tiny amount. But if they won't give it to you, then go on Estrosmart and you take 2 Estrosmart at breakfast. This is our Health Canada licensed thyroid support nutrient. And it increases T4 thyroid hormone, but more importantly, it improves the conversion of T4 to the more potent T3. Now, what about the people who are on the line who are already on thyroid medication? And when you first went on Synthroid or levothyroxine, you felt pretty good. But then you noticed over time your symptoms started to come back. What did the doctor do? Increase your dose of thyroid medicine. Did you feel better? No. The reason why you didn't feel better is Synthroid and levothyroxine are T4 thyroid hormone. And over time, you lose the ability to convert T4 to the more potent T3. So giving you more T4 in the form of Synthroid or levothyroxine doesn't solve the problem. So what do we do for you? You take your thyroid medicine first thing on an empty stomach, and then you take 2 Estrosmart at breakfast with food. And everybody's now going to eat breakfast, and you're going to have protein for breakfast, which jump starts your fat burning furnace. And take a really good multivitamin with minerals to get the vitamin D and all of the other things that you need for a healthy thyroid. But thyroid is, if you have a thyroid that is not working well, you will have dozens of symptoms that are very challenging to treat until we get your TSH back down below 2, especially if you're in menopause. Now, what about stress? At the beginning of the talk, I told you you better love your adrenal glands because they are your backup hormone system. They're going to help you get through the next 50 years after menopause. They're going to make your hormones for you. And of course, the adrenals are also involved in helping you deal with stress. And they do that by secreting the hormone cortisol. When we're completely burned out, the adrenals cannot secrete cortisol anymore. And that's when we go to bed and can't get out of bed. That's when the body says no. So what are the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion when your adrenals are starting to get tired? Well, you get insomnia where you fall asleep fine, but you wake up several hours later wide awake and can't fall back to sleep till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. That is the hallmark sign of adrenal exhaustion. Then you have difficulty handling stress. All of a sudden, everything bugs you. You have salt, sugar, and caffeine cravings. You have to have caffeine to get through the day. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you have the big slump, where you'd rather go to bed, but instead you have coffee and cookies to get you going again. Inflammation where your joints hurt, belly fat, weight gain, crying jags. And you used to be able to have a couple of glasses of wine, but now you get drunk on one. We call that alcohol intolerance. So these are just some of the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion, but we have to love our adrenals because they're going to get us through the rest of our life once our ovaries shut down at menopause. And when you have good functioning adrenals, you have virtually no menopause symptoms whatsoever. So the best thing is say no. Get lots of rest, eat lots of veggies and protein and healthy fats. And if you're not going to do that and you have a very stressful job or stressful life, then you want to take Adrenalsmart. And the best time to take Adrenalsmart is lunchtime or mid-afternoon with a protein snack. So a protein shake would be great at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, along with your Adrenosmart. And why do you take it in the afternoon or lunchtime? That is to bring your nighttime cortisol levels down so that you can sleep at night, so that you sleep all night through. And that deep, restful sleep also goes a long way to helping to support and nourish your body. But ultimately, you've got to say no. We're doing way too many things in our life, and we have to really take good care of ourselves. But if you're already in menopause and you're suffering with menopause symptoms, you definitely want to add Adrenosmart to your nutritional supplement regime to get your adrenals making your backup hormones for you. So let's talk about menopause. So it's different as every woman who's on the line tonight, and there are over 200 of you on the line this evening, as different as each one of you is, we can tailor make the program to get through the menopause transition just for you. Now, doctors hate that because they just want to write a prescription for something and send you out the door. So this is where my book, A Smart Woman's Guide to Hormones, comes into play. I also have a free book on the website called An A to Z Woman's Guide to Vibrant Health, which has a section on menopause. We have a free little booklet that we give out in the health food stores as well. But ultimately, here's some key facts. And we're going to find all the ways to treat your symptoms until you get through the transition. Just like when you started getting your period when you were a teenager, there were some bumps along the way when your body was just getting rid of that, getting used to that hormone rhythm. The same thing may happen when you go through menopause. So you want to eat lots of veggies, healthy fats, and protein. And that's key because menopause can cause weight gain, dramatic weight gain. And they found that women who had 2 orgasms a week had less thinning of the vaginal wall, less prolapsed uterus, that's when your uterus falls in the vagina, and less prolapsed bladder, that's when the bladder falls into the vagina. And so there are some positive benefits to it. Make sure your TSH is below 2. So that's that thyroid test I was talking about. Why? Because women who have a TSH above 2 have the never-ending severe menopause symptoms. These are the women who go on hormones and take everything under the sun and are still having hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, and not sleeping through the night. So make sure that thyroid is below 2. And we've already talked about how to treat that. Now, and I say if you have hot flashes and night sweats, you want to take Menosmart Plus, 2 at breakfast and 2 at bedtime. The bedtime dose is to get those night sweats under control. Now, not every woman gets hot flashes and night sweats at menopause. A lot of women get terrible anxiety and panic attacks and feelings of foreboding. So it's important that we treat all the symptoms. So if you've got the hot flashes and night sweats and the mood swings, then you go on Menosmart Plus. If you have vaginal dryness, we have a personal lubricant called Love. There's no parabens in it, which are estrogenic, by the way, and it feels exactly like the real thing. I've also put the prescription on the screen for Estriol. Estriol is the only safe estrogen. It will not cause cancers. We know that for a fact. Estriol is so safe, they've actually done 18 studies for wrinkles, and they've done 9 studies using estriol for urinary incontinence. That's when you laugh, cough, jump, sneeze, you pee. Estriol works very well for that. So do not use Vagifem, estradiol cream, or Premarin cream because these are associated with uterine cancer, endometrial cancer, and breast cancer. Estriol will not have that happen. So the prescription is a 0.5%. It's made up at a compounding pharmacy, and your doctor has to write a prescription for you. And so if you're already on Vagifem, estradiol, or Premarin cream, you need a new prescription called Estriol. And of course, every woman in menopause should take Adrenosmart to support, nourish, and love her adrenals. And then we want to talk about what do we eat? We eat green veggies, healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil and coconut butter, and protein. What is protein? An egg, a chicken breast, fish, protein powder. If you're really in love with oatmeal, make sure you put protein powder into your oatmeal. better yet, just have the protein powder. And I do 40 grams of protein in my protein shake in the morning to give me that adequate amount of protein to start my day. Let's talk about depression and anxiety. Lately, I've had a lot of people contact me about having really severe anxiety and depression and mood swings and really heavy anxious feelings. Well, back when they were testing Premarin and Provera, back in 2002, they did this study called the Women's Health Initiative study. And they were doing it to prove that synthetic hormones were safe. And the study was supposed to go 8 years, but at the 5-year mark, they halted the study because they discovered that women were getting heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, increased dementia. Terrible, terrible. So here were women were dying from treating their menopausal symptoms, which is really crazy. So what happened after that study came out is a lot of doctors told women, throw your hormones in the garbage. A lot of women stopped taking them. And then the doctors didn't really know what to do. So they started prescribing antidepressants in record numbers. Now, antidepressants are very hard to get off, and they can cause massive weight gain. Some women will gain 60 pounds in a matter of weeks. And so if you want to get off your antidepressants safely with no symptoms, I have a 1-hour audio program on the website on how to get off antidepressants. And you would use our anxiety product called Smile, along with our B-Smart, B-Complex, and our Mag-Smart. So that's what we would use to get you off these antidepressants. Now, if you're not on antidepressants and you're suffering with anxiety, we want to give you our B-Smart, B-Complex, along with Smile. Smile increases your serotonin, and that's your happy hormone. So then you just feel even and happy. And it's a very, very safe way to deal with anxiety associated with menopause. Let's talk about insomnia, because you've got to sleep at night. And if you don't sleep at night, this is the only slide that you care about in my entire presentation, because you have to get at least 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep at night in order for the body to repair and regenerate. And the latest research shows that over 70% of Canadians don't sleep through the night, or not getting 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So we've already talked about the type of insomnia where you fall asleep fine, but then you wake up several hours later wide awake and can't fall back to sleep. For those people, you take Estrosmart at lunchtime, and that will bring your nighttime cortisol levels down. And you take it every day. Don't take it at bedtime. You take it at lunchtime to make sure that you can sleep through the night. And then we need melatonin. You know, melatonin is one of the safest hormones. The reason why we can sell it in Canada now is because Children's Hospital in Vancouver did extensive research giving kids 30 and 40 milligrams of melatonin at bedtime for really serious sleep disorders. Well, in adults, we just use a teeny bit, 3 milligrams, maybe 6 milligrams. And you take it every single night. I've been taking melatonin since my early 20s to help reduce my risk of breast cancer, because we know that it has a benefit for that. But along with that, I get deep, restful sleep. What if you're that person who goes to bed and you can't stop thinking, and you've got the restless legs, you've got the twitchy eyelids and the leg cramps, and you just feel like you've got bugs crawling all over you? You are magnesium deficient. And so you would take a scoop of our Mag-Smart at bedtime. Then the most serious kind of insomnia happens to women after menopause. That's the ones who slept like a baby before menopause, but now they don't. You have a progesterone deficiency. So the prescription I recommend here is natural, bioidentical, micronized progesterone in an oral form. And you take 200 milligrams at bedtime daily, and this will knock you out. And the prescription's right here on the screen. Doctors know it as Prometrium. So you could say, I want 200 milligrams of Prometrium, and you take it at bedtime because it makes you very sleepy. Now, some people just need Adrenal. Some people just need melatonin in our sleep products. Some people just need Mag-Smart. Some people need it all. What is the goal? Deep, restful sleep. That's what you're aiming for. No caffeine after lunch. That means no dark chocolate at bedtime. And don't work out at night. So if you exercise in the evening and you have insomnia, what you're doing is further jacking up your cortisol levels, which make you have worse insomnia. So exercising at night for the insomniac is not a good idea. And, have a little bit of protein before bedtime too, instead of that ice cream, to really help you with some deep, restful sleep. Beautiful skin. I have a new book called Beautiful Skin Begins Within. And I'm going to talk about how we can get our skin looking beautiful from the inside out. And like everything I do, this started because my girlfriends started saying to me, we're starting to look a lot like our mothers. And although we love our mothers, we would like to stave that off for a little bit. So I started doing a lot of research to understand what really happens to our skin at menopause, especially at menopause, because that's when we go through the really dramatic changes. So one of the things that happens is we can no longer make a very special fatty acid called GLA. Now, GLA is a skin fatty acid, and you don't hear a lot about it. Everybody talks about fish oil, but very few people talk about this really unique oil called GLA. It comes from the seed of the borage plant. Borage is grown in Canada, and we take the seeds and we press them, and we make this beautiful, lovely oil that gives us GLA. Now, the only human food to have GLA is breast milk. And after a baby is finished being breastfed, their body is supposed to make GLA from the food you eat. People with eczema, dermatitis, rosacea, and psoriasis cannot make GLA from their food. That is why they have these terrible skin conditions. And when women go through menopause, we can't make GLA anymore either. And what happens is we get very dull, flat, dry skin that lacks that youthful glow. And we also get more redness and rashes at menopause as a result. So the only way to get GLA in high concentrations is from borage. And we have GLA in a liquid, and we also have it in capsules. And I love GLA because it treats breast pain. It also treats period pain. So if you have a teenager with period problems and period pain, they would take Estrosmart along with GLA. And they have researched GLA along with the drug tamoxifen for breast cancer treatment. So really, us women in the health food industry should start wearing the little blue borage flower as our symbol for breast cancer treatment and research than wearing the pink ribbon, which is associated with the drug companies. So I always tell people to do the GLA challenge, which is 2 tablespoons per day for 10 days, and then drop it down to 2 teaspoons. And your skin will get this beautiful, youthful, dewy glow. Your skin is not oily, and it'll just feel so soft and wonderful. Replacing collagen. So when a baby is born, they're 90% collagen. That's why they have that beautiful skin. We all want to touch and feel it and smell it. As we age, we lose a little bit of collagen. When we go through menopause, we can lose 30% of our collagen. That's what causes these deep lines by the side of our mouth. That's what causes our wrinkles. And then our chin starts sagging because we lose the elasticity. And if you want to see how much elasticity you have in your skin, take the back of your hand and squeeze it and hold it for a couple of minutes and then let it go. Well, in a child, you can't even see that skin drop down. In your 80-year-old mother, it goes, yeah. That's because you're losing the elasticity. So there are 16 different types of collagen in the body. And some of the collagen products on the market, when I went looking for a collagen product for myself, I was quite horrified. A lot of them are from cow parts, pig parts, which are basically slaughterhouse waste. And the cow collagens I'm really afraid of because of the whole prions and in the slaughterhouse waste. Some companies won't even tell you where their collagen comes from because they're not proud of it. And other companies use farmed fish tilapia. So I started looking for something for myself and my girlfriends, and I was really impressed with a product out of France called Active Collagen. And they had this wonderful hydrolyzed collagen and elastin polypeptide. So not only did it have collagen, but it had elastin, which keeps your skin, your chin, where it's supposed to be. And they had great clinical research. So they actually showed that they could reduce the number and the depth of deep wrinkles in 28 days by 20% using this amazing hydrolyzed collagen. So as a result of the really good research, Health Canada has allowed us to put on the label for the number and the reduction of deep wrinkles by 20% reduction in 28 days. And it contains a hydrolyzed wild fish collagen and elastin polypeptide. It's got excellent clinical research. There are no cow parts or pig parts or any of that kind of stuff in it. It works in 28 days. And it works on that crepey skin. You know when you put your eyeshadow on and it's like crepe paper on your eyelids, or your upper arms have that hangy skin happening? It works for that. And I've been using it now for years, and I'm noticing that the backs of my hands are starting to fill in, the collagen on the back of my hands, which is also a really good sign. But collagen is not just important for skin and for beauty. Collagen is also what makes your bones strong. So this is the connection to osteoporosis after menopause, is that if you're losing collagen that you can see in your face and you lose 30% of your collagen in your bones, this is what makes for the porous bones and osteoporosis. So let's talk about how we can build collagen in our hair and our nails and our bones using a vegetarian form of collagen. So Collagen Plus contains choline stabilized orthosilicic acid, and we add additional biotin to it. The choline stabilized orthosilicic acid is the same ingredient you find in BioSil. And the reason why we love this is it has excellent clinical research. It makes your hair stronger and shinier. It increases keratin in the hair, makes your fingernails nice and hard, and it increases bone density, which is the reason why I love this product. So you're going to get thicker, faster growing hair. The only downfall is that if you highlight your hair, you're going to have to do it more often because your hair grows so fast when you take Collagen Plus. And it's a liquid, so you put 10 drops. I put it in my smoothie in the morning. Rosacea. Look at this. Doctors call it adult acne. Rosacea is actually a vascular and an inflammatory disorder of the skin. It often gets misdiagnosed as adult acne. We have a cream called Celadrin cream, which we also use as just a skin moisturizer, but it is a superstar at putting rosacea into remission. And so this is why I brought this slide out tonight. I just thought how many people are suffering with rosacea that can really get fast, active treatment using our Celadrin topical skin cream along with the GLA orally. So you want to eat lots of GLA oil while you're also putting the Celadrin topical cream on your skin. Hair loss. I always have somebody in the audience who has been suffering with hair loss. And there's two reasons for hair loss in women. One is low thyroid, and we talked about how to treat that already. So if you have a TSH above 2, this will cause hair loss. So we want to get your TSH back down below 2. We use our Estrosmart and, or beg your doctor for a little bit of thyroid medication and take Estrosmart along with it. The other reason for hair loss in women is low ferritin. So your hair follicles on the top of your head are where your hair grows out of are full of ferritin. And ferritin is your iron storage. And as your ferritin levels decline, your hair goes gray faster, it falls out, it gets crunchy and dry, it lacks the color and the curl. And so getting your ferritin back into the normal range is really important. When I had the heavy periods and the uterine fibroids, my ferritin was 5. And I nearly went bald, and no doctor could tell me why I was losing my hair. They kept telling me it was stress, it was stress. And yes, I was stressed because I was losing my hair. I was so happy when I found out that just getting my ferritin levels up would help with this. And for those of you who've already been asking questions about our iron, we have a very unique iron that is a liposomal wrapped iron that raises ferritin quickly. We have it in a liquid. It tastes like Werther's candy, and we also have it in capsules. Weight loss, I've got 4 slides, and then I'm going to take some questions. I know Rihanna's been doing a really good job trying to keep up with everyone's questions during the talk. So the key to weight loss, protein, and you want to have a protein-rich breakfast, healthy fats, extra virgin olive oil and coconut butter, and lots of dark-colored vegetables. Those are the foods for weight loss. And so after the talk, go in your kitchen and get rid of everything else. Because if you're eating pastas and rice and bread and white flour and white sugar and white potatoes, these things are the foods that are starches and they turn into sugars in the body. And I call them the hidden disguised sugars because we think that some of them are healthy foods when they're truly not. And if you really want to be successful at weight loss, just focusing on those key foods, the protein, the veggies, and the healthy fats. And hey, you can eat as many vegetables as you want. I fill a large Ziploc freezer bag full of vegetables every morning and eat them all day long. And this keeps you from feeling hungry, gives you lots of roughage, which is good for your hormones. And it also will give you all the nutrients that you need. But then sometimes we need a little bit of help, and especially at menopause. I call it the battle of the belly fat. I feel like all I do is battle this muffin top. And I used to be that person who never had to worry about what I ate. I could eat anything, drink anything, and never had a problem. But as you get to 50 and beyond, it seems like a lot of the different foods we eat just go right to our belly. And so some of the weight loss supplements that I love, the ones that have really good clinical research, and one of them is CLA. So this is different than the skin oil, GLA. CLA is a fat that burns fat. And I love it because they did research in postmenopausal women. So this is the group that has the hardest time losing weight. They told them to take 5,000 milligrams a day. And at the end of 90 days, on average, everyone lost 7 pounds. Now, this is when they told them, don't change your diet, don't exercise, don't do anything different. Can you imagine if they ate protein, veggies, and healthy fats and took CLA? They would have excellent weight loss. So CLA comes in capsules. And it also comes in my protein powder. So as I get older, I'm getting tired of swallowing capsules. So you start to see me come out with everything in powders and liquids and ways to incorporate them into our food. And so my Estrosmart whey protein isolate shake has 5,000 milligrams of CLA in 2 scoops. And so I put 2 scoops in my water in my shaker cup in the morning, add all my other stuff to it, my Collagen Plus and my GLA oil, shake the life out of it and drink it on the way to work. And that way I get my 5,000 milligrams of CLA for weight loss, and I get 40 grams of protein, which is also good for weight loss. We know that if you eat protein for breakfast, a pure protein breakfast, it will jumpstart your fat burning furnace and help you burn calories for 3 to 4 hours, which is really important. Then what about water? I could never drink water. You know, you're supposed to drink 8 glasses of water a day, 8-ounce glasses a day. Some people say more than that. But, you know, for me, water was always boring. And so I was so excited, again, another French product called Civetol. And they have this product called Civetol that contains chlorogenic acids. They've done 9 clinical studies. One of them had a 10.8-pound weight loss in 60 days. And this you just add to your water. So it comes in a little stick pack, tastes like lemon lime iced tea. It's called Smart. And you add it to hot or cold water. I pour it in my water bottle all day long. It's absolutely yummy. And it doesn't contain caffeine or anything like that. And it works very, very well to stop sugar cravings. So if you're that person who's looking for the cookies and the chocolate, then this will be something that you'll really like to help you. We need this jump start. You know, none of us are going to stay on our weight loss program very long if we don't start to see results right out of the gate. Skin tags. These are not a cosmetic problem. 4 skin tags or more, and this is your body telling you you are already a pre-diabetic. So if you've got 4 skin tags or more, you need to go and get your blood sugar and insulin tested, get a hemoglobin A1C, which is a very good predictor, a blood test for diabetes. And if you've already started to get these skin tags, then you'll want to go on our Glucosmart, which brings your blood sugar and insulin back into the normal range. And I love Glucosmart because it busts the belly fat. So I've been doing a lot of Marilyn Dennis shows lately, and a last year in June, I was starting to really pack on the pounds. I was well over 150 pounds, which is too much for my size frame. And I thought, I'm going to get really serious. I'm going to take CLA. I'm going to drink the Shape Smart in my water bottle. And I'm going to take 2 Glucosmart every single day. And I lost 18 pounds in 6 months. I also was really good, protein, healthy fats, lots of green veggies. But once I started that program, the weight just fell off. And I'm really excited about that because we know that excess belly fat increases our risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So they have 30 clinical studies using Glucosmart, using the carositol, which is the ingredient in Glucosmart. We use it for weight loss and for belly fat. It was originally researched for diabetics and pre-diabetics, type 2 diabetics, and for women with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so I take 2 every single day. And if I have a glass of wine, I'll take another one. And if I eat popcorn at a movie, I will take another one. And so I use it as my cheat pill as well. And it works very well for weight loss. And you get my book, A Smart Woman's Guide to Weight Loss, free when you purchase Glucosmart. So somebody asked about what's the maximum amount of protein that you can eat per day. Well, interestingly enough, we measure all proteins against the egg. The egg is a perfect protein, and it contains 6 grams of protein a day. Most women do not get adequate protein. If you're exercising, so if you're at the gym or you're walking and working out, or you're a busy mom running after your kids, then you're going to need a lot more protein than the woman who sits in a chair all day. So if you're a sedentary woman who just sits in a chair and doesn't do anything, you need 30 grams of protein. So now that you know an egg is 6 grams of protein, you're probably saying to yourself, I'm not getting enough protein. And when you don't get enough protein, it's used by the body to repair the body, and you start to see muscle wasting. So that's when, your underarms here, you're brushing your teeth and the skin is just flagging in the wind. That is a loss of muscle tone, which is associated with not enough protein consumption. We call it sarcopenia in the elderly. They start shrinking and everything starts getting smaller and smaller. And so you need protein. It is important. And if you want to have thick, lustrous hair and healthy, beautiful skin, and you don't want everything sliding and heading to the floor, then you definitely want to make sure you get adequate protein a day. When I started working out, my trainer told me that if I really wanted to achieve the body that I had when I was 20, that I would have to eat as much protein per day as my body weight. And I was never able to get to that, but I did see a dramatic change when I started to eat more protein.